Good morning again, precious friends. Thank you for joining me once again, Aunt Patty, the carnivore hippie. So I'm thinking about carbohydrates this morning. What's the deal with simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates? I mean, everybody's probably got it pretty straight why sugar's not a good idea. But aren't complex carbohydrates supposed to be better for you? Aren't you supposed to digest them differently? Isn't it supposed to be okay if the carbohydrates are complex carbohydrates like whole wheat or brown rice or a potato or a sweet potato? Well, sweet potatoes have a lot of glucose in them, but anyway, we won't go into that. So, what is the difference between a complex and a simple carbohydrate anyway? A simple carbohydrate is either a one molecule of sugar, which is a monosaccharide, which is mostly when we're talking about food, we're talking about glucose, and a disaccharide, which in the case of sucrose is a molecule of glucose and a molecule of fructose. And those are the ones that we're going to talk about today. So, but complex carbohydrates or starches are chains of monosaccharides, usually glucose, the most common ones that we're eating. And somehow, because the glucose molecules are linked up with chemical bonds, that's somehow supposed to make them better for you. Well, are they? Well, since this channel is about my opinions and my experience, I'll tell you what I think. Here's how I thought it through. Once you eat the starch molecule, what happens? Your mouth has salivary amylase, and that starts working on those little chemical bonds right away. Some of them have been snipped before they even get to your stomach. So already the food that you're eating is more sugar than it was before by the time it hits your stomach, right? So then once it hits your small intestine, your body has additional enzymes and it just chops those strings of glucose molecules right up into all their constituent little pieces. And then what are they? They're glucose, they're sugar. So when you eat a bowl of shredded wheat or a piece of wholemeal bread or a bowl full of brown rice or whatever other kind of starch you want to eat, by the time it hits your small intestine, your body has chopped those strings of starch up and turned them all into sugar molecules. That's just the truth, folks. When you're eating complex carbohydrates, digestible starches of any kind, you're eating sugar. That's just the truth. This has been known for decades, at least since the beginning of the 20th century, probably over 100 years, truthfully. So don't be fooled. When you're eating complex carbohydrates, you're eating sugar, right? And the second fact is adult human beings don't require carbohydrate in the diet. And the reason is because your liver can produce all of the carbohydrate you need for the body structures that you have that require carbohydrate. Some brain cells, red blood cells, some kinds of muscle cells, and there may be a couple of others that I don't know off the top of my head, all require glucose to function. That is true. But you don't need to eat the glucose because your liver, as long as you eat enough protein and fat, can take those protein and fat molecules apart and create glucose molecules and shove them into your bloodstream while they will happily shuttle around and feed those structures in your body that require glucose. All right? Don't be fooled. You don't need to eat sugar. And if you're eating complex carbohydrate, that's what you're eating. Sorry, but that's the truth. You like potatoes? You like sugar. You like wholemeal bread? You like sugar. Wholemeal bread isn't any better for you than white bread. A potato with the skin on isn't any better for you than a potato without the skin on. Brown rice is actually, in my opinion, because of anti-nutrients, which we'll talk about in another video, is actually worse for you than white rice because of the lectins in the rice bran. But it's certainly not any better for you because it's a whole grain, okay? If you want to eat carbohydrates, yeah, you do you. I'm all about that. I'm not going to tell you what to eat, but I do expect you to know the truth, all right? You can put whatever you want in your body. Just know what you're doing. You can use whatever labels you want. Just be educated and know what the truth is, all right? Carbohydrates are sugar, except for fiber, but that's another video, all right? So short and sweet, just remember, don't feed your body sugar. Okay? I love you. Peace, love, and meat. See you later. Bye-bye.